Hello, friends, and welcome back for your second dose of Labels Teach. So this week you will be now researching England. And in nonfiction, we're noticing that authors often use labels to help support the facts in their text. So in the example that we used last week, the fact was that a baby kangaroo is called a joey. All right, and then in the picture, there's a close-up with a picture of the joey and a label labeling that joey so that we can connect the fact to the picture and what it looks like and help us clarify what that fact is in our brains using this picture. So in some cases, and in the examples that we're going to look at today, captions can act like labels too. So today we're going to explore that in our books, in our little book bins on Epic. So if you go to Epic and you've already typed in your class, our class code, you will go up to the mailbox, and in your mailbox you will see 3 books. Right now it's only, my mailbox is only showing 2, but there are 3, and we're going to click on Welcome to England. And this is the book that we're going to use today to help us practice our labels. And if you remember last week, we learned that label plus fact equals more knowledge. All right, so let's gain some more knowledge from our labels and our facts in our England reading. Okay, so switching back over to our book, this is called Welcome to England by Elma Schemenauer. And as we practice the strategy today, you are also going to need your England graphic organizers that can be found in your purple folders. So I'm going to switch back over to the camera. This is what the graphic organizers look like. They look very similar to your India graphic organizers and the graphic organizers that we used for the United States. Okay, so make sure you find this. If you don't have it with you, pause the video and go grab it. Alrighty. You will also need a writing utensil because we are going to fill in some of the pieces of your graphic organizer together. All right, friends. So if you have your materials, let's pop back over to Epic and just follow along. So I'm not going to read this whole book from front to back because you will have that opportunity to do that later today if you haven't already. We're just going to take a peek at just a couple specific spots to help us practice looking at those labels. And in this case today, we're going to be looking at captions as well as the text that we read. All right, so I'm going to flip the page. I'm going to look at my table of contents, and I'm actually going to skip all the way down to page 12 where it says England Today. So I'm just going to flip my page, and we're going to read about England Today. Okay, so here's this short piece of text. I have a picture here. I have a picture here. I'm just going to look at this page though. Okay, so England Today. Today, England is the most powerful part of the United Kingdom. Over time, ties with its former colonies have loosened. Independence for some came after struggle and bloodshed, but most former colonies are now friendly with the United Kingdom. The country works closely and trades with the rest of Europe. Unlike many countries, England still has a monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. She lives in a palace, meets with the Prime Minister, and hosts world leaders. But the true government leader is the Prime Minister, who is elected by the people. So I read my text. Now I'm going to look at my picture. Looks like somebody wearing a crown. I'm going to assume it's the Queen, and I'm going to read that label, and in this case, this caption. Elizabeth II is Queen of the United Kingdom. So this whole section was all about the government in England. And here's a picture to help us clarify, or to help us actually picture what the Queen looks like. All right, it puts a picture to the information that we just read. So now I'm going to come back to my graphic organizer, and I'm going to find the spot that talks about the form of government, and I'm going to record that. So looking at this page, here's form of government. The form of government is a monarchy, which means that they have a king or a queen that runs the country rather than a president like we have. And in this case, Queen Elizabeth II is the current monarch. Okay, so in a monarchy, you have a monarch or a person who's in charge, and in this case, it's Queen Elizabeth II in England. All right, so here's the knowledge that we gained from our text, that image, and reading that label. That label taught us something. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and flip the page, and I'm going to look at the people. Okay, so here I am, the people. I'm going to read this section, and I bet you this image will help us clarify what this section is about. And I'm also going to read that label. Okay, so the people. A few people in England, especially in the country of Cornwall, have mainly Celtic backgrounds, but most people in England are English. They have mixed backgrounds. Their family histories include the Celts, Romans, Angles, Saxons, Vikings, and Normans who arrived long ago. Since the 1950s, many people from former British Empire colonies have moved to England. They include people from India, Pakistan, the West Indies, Guyana, Australia, and Africa. Some Southeast Asians, Chinese, Americans, and other Europeans also live in England. Many of these people live in England's cities. That's a lot of different types of people. And if we look at this picture and we read that caption, English people have many different cultural, racial, and religious backgrounds. That absolutely puts a picture to the information that we just read. That's incredible. So knowing that we just read about the people and their different backgrounds, let's go ahead and find the graphic organizer page that says ethnic and religious communities. And that looks like this, ethnic and religious communities. Here it is right here. I'm going to go back to the text and grab that information again. So mainly Celtic backgrounds. All right, so I'm going to record, overall they have mixed backgrounds. So I'm going to record mixed backgrounds. And I'm just going to note a couple of the different backgrounds that those people came from. All right. So there were the Celts, the Saxons, the Angles, there were Romans, there were the Normans, and there were also the Vikings. Okay. Let's go back to, if you need to pause the video to catch up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to Epic and see if I missed anything. All right, so the Celts, the Romans, the Angles, Saxons, Vikings, and Normans who arrived long ago, and many people from former British Empire colonies who moved to England, and that includes people from India, Pakistan, the West Indies. Okay, so this whole list of people, but this caption really summed it up nicely. English people have many different cultural, racial, and religious backgrounds. All right, many different cultural, racial, and religious backgrounds. And we pretty much summed that up. We said mixed backgrounds, and then we named a few. So I think we are all set for this portion. All right, so going back to our book, I'm going to flip to, I'm going to go right here, I think. Actually, I'm going to skip. I'm going to go to schools and language. So looking at schools and language, I'm going to read the text. I'm going to look at the picture and read that label or this caption. Okay, schools and language. So I bet there is a piece on our graphic organizer that talks about the language. Let's see if we can find it. All English children between the ages of 5 and 16 must go to school. Most students attend local state schools run by the government. Some children pay to attend independent schools. Unlike in the United States, these schools are called public schools. So that's a little bit backwards than our schools. In our schools, we don't have to pay for your parents don't have to pay for you to go to school. if you go to a public school like Orchard Park. But in England, these parents or these families would have to pay for their children to go to school. Okay. England's official language is English. It is based on the German spoken by the Angles and Saxons and the French spoken by the Normans long ago. But words from many other languages, including Celtic, Latin, and Norwegian, are also part of the English language. And I'm going to stop right there because my little icon's blocking the rest. So I read the text. I'm going to look at the image. And I'm going to read this label. A class stands with its teacher at this East London school. Here, students from 27 different countries, there's those different backgrounds, speak more than 30 languages. That's incredible. All right, let's go back to our graphic organizer and let's think this was all about the schools and the language, and let's see if we can add something in. Okay, so I'm back to this page. Oh, here it is, language is spoken, and we can say English is the main language. Clearly, people in England speak a bunch of different languages. I mean, just in that picture, those students spoke over 30 different languages in that classroom. But English is the main language in England. Okay. All right. Let's pop back over. If you need to pause and catch up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to our book and I'm going to read about the work that they do. Okay, so in your graphic organizer, there is a section about the types of jobs that people in England do or have. So let's read about that and see if we can collect any information from our facts and from our images as well as these labels, because we know label plus fact equals more knowledge. So work. In the past, coal powered many English factories. Today, many run on oil or natural gas. English factory workers make such things as cars, airplanes, teapots, woolen mittens, and computer software. Many English people have service jobs. They work in hotels, tourist offices, banks, shops, museums, and insurance companies. They serve people from England as well as visitors from around the world. In the country, some English people farm. They raise sheep, cattle, hogs, barley, vegetables, wheat, and potatoes. Some mine coal, stone for building, or clay for making dishes. And I'm going to pause there because my icon's blocking the rest. But I read the text. Here's all my facts. I'm going to go to this image. It looks like it's related to what I read about. This looks like farming. And let's read that label. A farmer, okay, feeds pigs at her organic farm in Wiltshire. So this image helped us put a picture to what all of these facts were about. And here are some factory workers at a plant building an aircraft engine. Okay, so here are those factory workers. Here's a farmer. Other jobs that this section talked about were also service jobs. Okay, so we got all of that knowledge from reading the text and looking at those labels that help us put images to these pictures in this in the text. So let's go ahead back to our graphic organizer, find the one that says types of jobs, and let's record those jobs. So there's factory workers, there were farmers, and I don't even have to go back and look at the text to remember that, because seeing those pictures helped put that image in my brain. So I don't even have to look at the book to remember that. So factory workers, farmers. There was also, it talked about service jobs. And I remember, there wasn't a picture about that, but I remember that include working at banks, hotels, and insurance companies. There was also shops and museums, but I'm just going to list those three to save some space. Okay. Other service jobs may include working at hospitals too, Service jobs are pretty general. Okay, so again, if you need to pause the video to catch up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, let's keep rolling. I'm gonna go back to my book, and this time I'm gonna stop here at pastime. So before I even read this text, I see a couple of kids, looks like they're looking at a map, and I also see some people playing sports. So I'm going to guess that this section is going to be about maybe some activities or sports that they like to do or play. So let's read pastimes. English people enjoy staying at home, gardening, fixing up their houses, playing video games, reading, and watching TV. English TV shows are often so good that they find their way to other lands, including the United States. Riding horses, bicycling, walking in the country, and birdwatching are other popular activities. Some people keep a lifelong list of birds they have seen. England's favorite sports are cricket, soccer, rugby, lawn bowling, golf, and tennis. Wow, that's a lot of activities and sports. And looking at these images, it looks like, let's go ahead and look at this label. These hikers in the Lake District are looking at a road map. And up here it talked about how they like to hike. And down here it says young cricketers play at a club in London. Okay, whoops. And here's that image to help you picture the facts that you just read. So label plus fact equals more knowledge. Now go ahead on your graphic organizers and find the part that says favorite activities and hobbies. And it looks like this. Now again, I remember those two pictures, which can also help me record without having to look back at my book. And that was hiking, cricket. Okay, those were those two images that also had those labels or those captions to help me gain more knowledge and put an image to what the facts were talking about. They also mentioned horseback riding, there was gardening, there was soccer, rugby, there was also lawn bowling. I wonder what that's like. Okay. And there was also bird watching and things like that too. But I'm just going to stick to this list. You can add more or keep it there. But that is a good list. All right, so again, if you need to pause the video to catch up, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, let's keep practicing. We'll practice one more. So let's go to holidays. All right. So this time, after I read, and as you look at the image, it doesn't look like there's a label here, but I want you to practice filling in your major holiday section by yourself. Okay, and then we'll compare after I'm done reading. So holidays. Bank holidays are official holidays for everyone in England. Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year's, and May Day are some of the bank holidays. Boxing Day is the first weekday after Christmas. On this day, the English give Christmas boxes or gifts to letter carriers and other service workers. So mailmen or women are also considered service jobs. Special events often take place on bank holidays. One is the cheese race in the county of Gloucestershire. A huge round cheese is rolled down a hill and people chase it. Whoever catches the cheese gets to keep it. Well, that sounds like fun. And it looks like this image helps put a picture to what that cheese race looks like. So here's that wheel of cheese, and here's that person running down the hill to catch that cheese. Okay? All right, so pause and think. This was all about the holidays. Whoop. And now you can go ahead and fill in that part of your graphic organizer. All right, so I'm going to fill mine in too, and then we can compare when after a couple seconds. All right. So I'm going to go back to my graphic organizer, go ahead and compare with mine. I have Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year's, and May Day. Alrighty. All right, friends. So as you pause and finish filling in your graphic organizer, let's take a peek back and look at all of the parts that we've already filled in. So we looked at the form of government. We have the languages spoken. We also filled in the ethnic and religious communities, types of jobs, favorite activities and hobbies, and major holidays. All right, and that was just from that one book, and we didn't even read the entire book. But if you go back, make sure you read the whole book. So I'm going to go back to the book. Make sure you read the whole book today and practice reading and looking at the images and the labels, because we know label plus fact equals more knowledge. All right, friends, happy reading, happy researching, and I will be back with you tomorrow to talk about visuals again. All right, goodbye.